Friday the 18th of July was supposed to be an ordinary day for a group of young women who were living and working together. They had just finished their shift at a local popular nightclub in Gqeberha by the beach, and they had come home from their 4 a.m. shift, and they were busy sleeping. That's what they did, is that they worked nights and they slept during the day. Now, what would happen is that at around 9:30 at their flat, Gordon's Place, in central Gqeberha, Port Elizabeth, a man would start knocking on the door at 9:30 in the morning. And this man was not an ordinary man. He was a police officer. He was off duty at the time, but he was a police officer. And his name was Godfrey Seleke, and he was 32 years old. Now, according to survivors, he was banging on the door, screaming, "Lisa, Lisa, Lisa." And according to what I get is that the other roommates didn't really know him, and they didn't know what he wanted with Lisa. It wasn't like he was her boyfriend, right? It seems as though the connection is pretty vague at this point. And one of them would even ask, "What do you want with her?" And he would say, "She knows what I want." Eventually, he would be let in, and there is security at this block of flats. And we don't know how he got past security. Maybe he flashed his badge as a police officer. We don't know. That's speculation on my part, but he got through security, according to the Herald. Now, he would come and he would pull out his weapon, and he would point it at one of the survivors in this case. And I can only imagine what went through her mind. I read her account in the Herald, and I don't want to name her because she's been through enough. But he would point his weapon at her, and he would fire it, but it jammed. And you know what? I can just imagine the chaos that happened in that flat. I can imagine girls screaming, running. It was a bloodbath. It was a bloodbath, because what would happen is that 2 of these young girls would lose their lives allegedly at his hands. And their names were Lisa Kanya Labi and Mona Lisa Unjani. And they were just 20 and 21 years old. They were young girls. Mona Lisa was 20 and Lisa was 21. Young girls who were doing everything right. They were sleeping in their homes. They were working. They were living with roommates for safety. Everything right. Now, after this, the constable, Godfrey Seleke, would turn the weapon on himself, and he would fire it into his head. And police would arrive at this gruesome crime scene. Now, this is so traumatic. Like, this is a member of the SAPS, the people who are supposed to protect us, the people who we call when we are in trouble. And this person is allegedly, well, he's dead now, but he's allegedly out there committing crimes against young women. I would like to know his history in the SAPS. I mean, don't they screen for these things? Because let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, a man doesn't just wake up one day and decides that he's going to do this. This is an extensive history of violence. And you know what? General Mkhwanazi and the corruption in the SAPS has another problem, and that is trauma, because this is not the first time I've heard of trauma and people going and pulling their weapons who are police officers and hurting themselves and their families. And I'm not saying that everyone in the SAPS is bad. I've met so many wonderful police officers. Many of you who message me and, speak your stories to me. I've met so many young men and women who are defending our country from criminals. And oftentimes I say in my videos, the SAPS is actually, they do a good job. It's the judiciary who I personally feel who are sometimes letting people down when it comes to releasing people out on parole and putting them out on bail. So this is not an attack on the SAPS. This is just maybe we need to have stricter policies about who is allowed to have that kind of authority, that police authority, and that control over a weapon. Now, let's take a moment to remember the victims. in this case and their families, because you know what? There's a family who is waking up without a daughter or a sister or a mother. And those are the families of Lisa Kanya Labi and Mona Lisa Unjani. And they were so, so young. Now, I'm going to be following this case because we don't really know what the motive is yet. And if you are interested, just give me a like and a follow, and we can cover this case together.